Del Rio, Texas. Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded live Saturday, 13 October 2012, episode 37, Happy Birthday to Me. Well, welcome once again to another episode of Two Guys Who Dive, and I am your host, Robert Wade, and I'm here with my special guest host,
Troy McGonagill.
The one and only. Yes, we definitely appreciate you being able to step in for those.
My pleasure. That's
right. We had Scuba Bob was a little under the weather. Yeah, that's unfortunately one of the downsides of being in close quarters with family that where kids are exposed to various and sundry types of afflictions in school. They like to bring that stuff home because they're not as what's the word I'm looking for?
Sanitary?
Yeah, sanitary. They don't wash their hands as frequently as we do.
They bite their nails and
eat dirt.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the title of the episode this week is Happy Birthday to Me because on Monday I will be hitting the dark number. I'll be hitting the big 50. I'll be 50 years old on Monday.
No.
Hard to believe. I know, right?
No.
I know, right?
No.
I know. Yeah, and I don't feel it. You know, I was posting on Facebook. I just don't feel like I'm 50 years old.
I saw that.
And of course, that garnered a lot of little compliments from people saying, you don't look 50.
Well, what does age feel like anyway?
That's right. That's right. Well, and it starts here.
Yeah.
If you let yourself get old in the head, then the rest of the body starts following.
Yes.
And you know me, I'm just Mr. Crazy Guy.
Party going on in the head.
That's right. 24/7, 365. When our parties get together, it's just craziness.
Oh boy, pandemonium.
It is. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. So, well, how was your week?
It was good. It was very good.
Anything exciting happen, or just
nothing? Well, yes. One thing. I don't know how exciting this would be. It feels good for me. I finally got all my. I have a corporation, so all of my corporate taxes were completed.
Yay!
On Friday.
We always love that
because tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. The 15th is the final.
Final. The
October 15th. So, yay. It's done.
It's nice to see that. And of course, Uncle Sam's going to get his pound of flesh. his 20 pieces of silver. Actually, now it's working up to like 50 pieces of silver. So, and there's something going on tomorrow for you, isn't there?
Yes, there's another story to that there.
Why don't you share with everybody?
Having conversation with my wife earlier, making plans to go have a fun time with our friends and have a Saturday evening movie date.
Nice.
We were discussing, okay, we're going to go and, what are we going to buy and what are we going to do tomorrow?
Right.
Getting making sure it's in our budget.
Right.
And she said something about, our anniversary. And I said,
don't.
Which is tomorrow.
And Congratulations.
Thank you. It's the 12th anniversary.
12.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 years.
Wow.
And I honestly said, and she chuckled at me, but I said, I don't know what I feel like. I feel dumb because I didn't even remember and then forget to remember the anniversary. Because, let me explain.
I was going to say, please clarify.
You had a puzzled look.
Yes.
That means sometimes I will remember something in advance.
Right.
Oh, I need to remember that.
Yeah.
And then I'll forget it.
Yeah.
But see, here's the other thing. And then in the same sentence, I say to her, well, I'm carrying top-notch technology in my pocket.
Absolutely.
And I did not program it for this most important date.
Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly. I had sound effects. But so yes, tomorrow is our 12th anniversary.
Wow.
We've decided to reboot, reschedule, and have an actual, plan something to do.
Oh, cool.
So maybe in the next week or so we're gonna
Nice.
try to find time to get away and do something.
Very nice. 12 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Of course, in August, Tara and I had our 23rd, and, you kind of look back, and so much of it just seems like it was so quick, There's certain aspects of it, that you just really remember clearly that just immediately pop in your head is like, oh, I just remember. It seems like that wasn't that long ago, and you realize, wow, that's pretty significant given a world now where so few people, A, get married,
That's
and
true.
B, stay together for anything longer than 3 or 5 years.
I think the reason a lot of people don't stay together so long is because they're missing the component that keeps you together.
Right.
And whenever we got married, I mean, we've gone through a lot of challenges, and there's one thing I've never ever doubted, and that's my marriage covenant. Never.
Right,
It's never even
right.
crossed my mind that it was anything other than.
Well, see, you actually bring up a very good point. It is a covenant, and for people who just treat it like it's a contract,
Mhm.
And that's why when they just go to the Justice of the Peace or something like that, they're not realizing that, this is a godly thing,
Right.
It's very scriptural. There's a reason why there are 3 points, 3 strands to that cord that make it work. And when you don't include that, you are trying to do it all on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a miracle for anybody that actually is able to hold it together without that missing component. So congratulations. That's
Thank
just
you.
awesome. So speaking of birthdays and anniversaries, last week was the 25th anniversary of The Princess Bride.
You're kidding.
25
years?
I know. I'm like, it's one of my favorite films. I'm always quoting something. My favorite is probably "Have fun storming the castle."
Yeah.
I love that line. Billy Crystal was just awesome. But there's just so many. It was such a cool movie, well written, well acted by everybody in it. An unoffensive story with a tale of good and evil, and it was just a really good movie all the way around. There's just nothing you could find offensive about it, and so many funny parts about it that just made no sense, but it really told a great story, and so they had evidently a 25th anniversary showing somewhere at some theater, probably in Hollywood or New York. And all the cast members that was still alive got together for that event.
Wow, there's
So it was kinda neat.
some of them are not alive.
Well, the Andre the Giant, he passed away.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But all the rest of them still there,
25 years.
25 years.
So that's 87?
Yeah, hard to believe.
Is 1987 25 years ago? Really?
Yeah. So, so it made me just kind of want to go, I think we have that on video. Oops, careful not to mess with the cameras. It kind of makes me want to go break out the movie and watch it again.
Yeah.
But, okay, and then also, Kelly Preston, John Travolta's wife,
Yes.
is 50 years old today.
Hey.
Hard to believe. For some reason, I remember a number of actors at different points in my life, usually where they were most popular, where I think of them as either being a lot younger or a lot older than me.
Yeah.
And so now later in life, when I see, oh, well, that person's this age, I'm like, I thought they were younger than me. Or I thought they were way older than me. And it's kind of, I'm not sure how it makes me feel to realize she's pretty much my age.
Yeah.
I had a totally different, you're a different person at different points in your life. And so your perception of reality changes as you get older. There's an old saying that says the same man never crosses the same river twice. And that's true because the river is always changing and you are always changing.
True.
So Kelly Preston, 50 years old, congratulations. You're in good company. And, I should have probably looked up how long she and John Travolta have been married. But, and of course, they've been through tragedy together, the loss of their son. But they've been together for a long time. I think they met in the movie The Experts, where he and this other guy were hired by Russians to help bring because the Russians evidently had a fake city imitating the United States to prep their agents. And they were very much still stuck in like the 50s or 60s. And so they actually hired John Travolta and his buddy to open up a nightclub in this American city, which, of course, they didn't tell him they were actually taking him to Russia. And I think Kelly Preston was one of the Russian agents that was in that movie. And, of course, their romance sparked and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
That's vague to me, but I remember.
I think Tara was watching it on Netflix or something.
1989.
1989?
Yep.
Okay. But
yep, Kelly Preston.
Yep. So
that's quite a memory.
Yeah. It was a cute movie, typical John Travolta. That was when he was at his peak. He was doing all those movies, and he did that Twist of Fate that reunited him with Olivia Newton-John.
I don't think I saw that one.
You never saw that
one?
No. Very typical 80s music. She was a bank teller who needed some money for something, and she ended up kind of planning a way to steal it, or somebody was robbing. I think John Travolta was robbing it, and then she ended up kind of tricking him, and she took the money, and he was going to be the fall guy. And this is one of those where these angels are trying to be over the situation. Scatman Crothers was in it.
Really?
Brian Dennehy was in it. They were all angels.
Golly.
And they were trying to basically, they were trying to show that love existed, that kind of thing, that they would be selfless, give their life up for each other. One of them would do that for each other. And I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who was playing the devil. And he was the very suave, debonair, had the bowler hat, and you probably look it up on IMDb and find it. I think it's called Twist of Fate. With John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Boy, we're pulling some 80s movies out. Okay. One of the things we wanted to talk about this week is this project, Pink Tank, that PADI, the Professional Association of Dive Instructors, has gotten together with let's see, VR Technology, the Rubicon Foundation, and Duke Dive Medicine to improve the understanding of the mental and physical benefits of scuba diving and long-term effects on cancer therapy on diver behavior and health. Phase 1 involved 416 certified breast cancer survivors. They were involved in a web survey to collect info on their dive experience, find out basically how much diving they've done, how frequently, how soon before they were diagnosed with cancer, number of things surrounding the condition. And then also their general health status, history specific to diving, and cancer diagnosis and treatment. As it turns out, in 2004, when they did when Diver Alert Network, Dan, did a survey, they found out that 12% of breast cancer survivors indicated diving relieved their symptoms of lymphedema, which is a condition where when you remove lumps that have to do with the lymph nodes, which typically are associated with breast cancer, people who have breast cancer, that can cause swelling. And so evidently they found that 12% of divers found that there was some relief from the symptoms. One of the guys I work with, I think his mother has lymphedema. And, he's talked, and I'd never really heard of that particular condition until he talked about it. And so when I was reading up on this, I was like, oh, okay, I'm familiar with this condition now. So, but the dive industry really doesn't know a lot. There's just been not a lot of evidence built up or studies done on the health benefits of diving for people who are actually who've survived cancer or a number of other conditions. Now, obviously, they've done some studies to look at the whether it's safe to dive when you have things like diabetes, asthma, those kinds of things. But for cancer survivors, because usually they're on various kinds of medications, things like that, as well as especially breast cancer because of what your body has to go through during a dive, as you know. There's certain parts of your body that might be more affected by diving under pressure as opposed to other parts of your body, other systems. So the next phase is going to involve outfitting these participants with computers to track their dive profiles alongside diver health outcome data. So basically, they want to follow these people through therapy, through their therapy treatments, and actually see, well, okay, is there a correlation between, for instance, breast cancer survivors who do a lot of deep dives versus a lot of shallow dives? Is there a correlation there? Does it seem to be that, for example, it might be interesting to know that breast cancer survivors or other cancer survivors actually get more relief from lymphedema symptoms and other symptoms by doing more deep dives opposed to shallow dives, or is the exact opposite true? So there's a number of things that'd be interesting to know, because there really is a lot that's not fully understood about diving under pressure. The dive tables have gone through metamorphosis over years to get us to the point where most divers can control or prevent decompression sickness by staying within the dive tables. And yet there are still people who follow the tables. They don't push the edge. They stay conservative within the tables or their computer and still have the effects of decompression sickness,
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I was going to, let me pull up the website. Here's the website for Pink Tank. If for those who are breast cancer survivors and you are divers or are interested in getting into diving, if you want more information, you can go to pinktank.org, and this is what the site looks like. See the Rubicon Foundation there. I love that. That is an awesome. That's a dry suit. You don't normally see wetsuits that pink, although there are some probably 3 mil, which we'll be talking about wetsuits here in a little bit, that are pink, but generally that's bright. I'm seeing more and more dive apparel coming out in pink colors. Of course, Tara, my wife, has got a pink tank.
Yes.
And I want to get her another one to match that. So, yeah, that's pretty impressive. I love that there are programs like this that encourage more awareness and are looking to find out more answers to ways to better the lives of people who are dealing with or overcoming diseases
interesting.
like that.
What's the? I don't know the full history of scuba, but when was it really fully engaged? When did it start?
It really started picking up in the 70s when they really started when the equipment, the technology started getting serious. Back if you look back in the sea hunt days, black and white, talking the 50s. There obviously we were diving then, but it was the big old steel tanks.
Right.
You're wearing a rubber suit with a weight belt. There was no BC. There was no computer. You had there wasn't even a pressure gauge.
Wow.
Yeah. You just had the big hoses that came around. The regulator was actually the part that how we have the second stage in our mouth, and the air that we exhale comes out through there. That actually came out from behind you, because all of that was there, and you just simply had two hoses that came around, and you breathed in one way, and then the valve would shift it to the other way, and it would push it out the back. So there was nothing to tell you how much air was in your tank. They had what they called the J valve, which Ralph Guerra has one of those tanks he picked up at a flea market. It had your 3,000 pounds per square inch in the tank. The one he has an 80 cubic foot tank, and it has a little lever on it that once you got down to a certain pressure, then you would not be able to breathe, and so you had to reach back and flip that lever down, and that would give you the last 300 to 500 psi. Basically, that was your signal to come up,
right?
Because you never want to surface with less than that, so you would come up with that, and that was your signal. So if you forgot to flip that little lever, you'd be like trying to suck down nothing, which would be bad. So yeah, we've definitely got it better with all the gauges and computers, and it's just amazing how far the industry has come. So you guys went to see a movie tonight. Care to share with everybody what you went to see?
Let's see. I've already forgotten the name.
The name of the movie.
With Kevin James. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, that other movie with John Travolta was Two of a Kind.
Oh, Two of a Kind.
Yeah,
the song was Twist of Fate.
I found it.
Ah, good job. So on your Lumia,
my Lumia
900 phone.
It was an 83.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
And that doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
I know, right?
Apparently it was.
I know, right?
Let's see. Kevin James, funny guy. Here's the Boom. Let me see. I'm about to.
Here's the Boom. Is that what it's called?
I'm about to find it here. Here comes the boom. Here comes the boom. Synopsis is: he's a teacher, high school teacher, or not high school. Yeah, I guess he is high school. A high school teacher. There's a cut in the budget, and the first things that they go for is the music department. Music teacher's played by Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler.
The Fonz. And the Kevin James character really thinks it's, not necessary to do that, and makes it a mission to make sure that he can provide the funds so that this particular class is not cut from the curriculum. And so he goes in his spare time when he's not teaching and becomes an MMA fighter. Apparently, he was in the movie. He was a wrestler in college and did very well. And then,
a wrestler. Yeah,
a wrestler. He's now 42. Hasn't done it for 20 years, and so it's got a good message because he's fighting. At the beginning of the movie, he's very doesn't care about his job. He's just, whatever. I'm just here to get a paycheck, and doesn't care about teaching his students. He's a biology teacher. He's kind of lost his passion.
Got it.
Because of they even talk about because of the system, and and then he starts to get his passion back because he's fighting for something, and drives that message home with the students. Not in word, but in action, in deed. He's actually, modeling something that becomes even more powerful than just talking about something, which as we all know, we hear a lot of talk these days, and we don't see a lot of action.
Right.
So, in his quest to raise the money, he gets very passionate about what he's doing with his fighting. He's doing it for the right reasons. But at the same time, he's also earlier in the movie, before he takes on this fighting adventure, he is working a part-time job as a citizen teacher for people who are
becoming American citizens.
Yeah, becoming American citizens. He's in the class, going over everything with them. So it's got a patriotic element to it. These people are really excited about becoming citizens, and they're eager to become one.
Right.
They want to do whatever. And then there's also the other element, which was very, very nice to see. I appreciated one point when he finally gets kind of moves up in the ranks and gets in the fighting arena and gets a good coach and this good team,
right?
Who's more of a professional. And the guy that owns the team or in the gym and the team that does this UFC type fighting, he actually is telling his team they're about to have dinner, and he's telling them a story about Jacob. Was it? No. Yeah. And out of Genesis, just 29, I think. He actually quotes the scripture.
Wow.
Where he's, wrestling with himself, wrestling with an angel, and
right.
he goes through that whole scenario, which was shocking to see it in a movie. And then later on, they even had a moment before he went into one of his fights where he's about to pound somebody, and they prayed as a team. So there's the things I picked out of it where he's actually at one time was a passionate teacher.
Yeah.
Because that's what his gift was. But he had lost it because of the system.
Right.
So he got that back. It also had a patriotic thing. It had the flag blatantly displayed, which was nice.
Awesome. And not burned.
Yeah, and not burned. And then they had the godly element there.
That's just amazing.
And what's
unexpected.
I think what's really unexpected and amazing is that it was a Happy Madison production, which I believe is Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler.
Which
who's usually pretty irreverent, and
yeah.
I think he's Jewish. Actually,
he is Jewish. Yeah, he is Jewish.
Not that I have anything against Jewish people. I'm a big fan of
not
Israel,
at all.
But just usually you don't see that kind of movie from him. I think up to this point, the least offensive movie I can think of from him was probably The Wedding Singer.
Yeah. And it was PG. There was no vulgarity.
Wow. PG, no less.
I think the only reason it was PG is because, the boxing violence.
Right.
It was pretty violent in that. But other than that, there was no language.
Huh.
No innuendo, nothing like that.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
Franklin Delano. Have you seen that commercial?
Yes. I pulled up, speaking of movies,
there it is.
There it is. Two of a Kind right there. Two of a Kind.
That's funny.
It was a cute movie, a good little story to it, Charles Durning, not Brian Denny. Charles Durning.
Yeah, he was in Dune.
Yeah. Oliver Reed, that was the devil.
Oliver Reed, wasn't he the bad guy wasn't he in, have you seen the movie, the Oliver movie?
Yes.
Wasn't he in a version of that?
Yes, he was.
I remember that.
Scatman Crothers. Fresh young minds. And Beatrice Straight, whom I don't recall from any other movies. That was the only thing that I could think of her in. But, yeah, it was an interesting movie. So, anyway. Good movie. You recommend for families generally?
Yeah.
Any cautions?
Just the fighting violence.
Yeah.
We've got two little boys that I wouldn't have a problem with them seeing that there's no content that's an issue other than that whole fighting part.
Right.
Personally, I would that wouldn't be something I would take them to.
Right.
8 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
But 10, 11, 12 probably would be a little different
safe
story.
Call.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
No language. I mean, that's no innuendo. Nothing of that nature. So it was good. It was. I would say it would be a safe family movie.
Yeah. Well, Tara and I went to see Taken 2.
Yeah. And I want to see that. However, I need to see the first one.
Oh, you haven't seen the first one?
No.
Yeah, you definitely need to see the first one because this truly is a continuation of that movie. After I first saw it, I was still not sure if I thought it was better than the first one or not. And now that I've had some time, I think it wasn't quite as good as the first one. But it was a nice conclusion without necessarily being a conclusion. So which is interesting because of the very last couple of scenes in the movie, you're left going, But wait. You forgot something
So
you just said.
You had that empty feeling.
Well, it was that moment when you realize the main character made a specific point and then chose to completely disregard that specific point.
Oh.
And when you see it, that particular thing has nothing to do with the first movie, but you find yourself walking away going, Taken 3? I just
question mark.
Yeah. So, but it was good. I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of. Once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think I would have liked to have seen something from Famke Jensen, who plays his wife in both movies, and the daughter steps up in the second movie. Which you would think so after what she goes through in the first movie. So
right, yeah, I knew that it was the daughter that was the issue in the first one.
So and there's this kind of weird point where, and you've seen from the clips where he's talking to her on the phone and says, "All right, I need you to listen. Your mother and I are about to be taken." And you kind of know, if you saw the first movie, from her point, she's like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." It's like, seriously. So it was good. It definitely, you kind of see some stuff coming. But it's kind of neat to see how he's able to utilize kind of a MacGyver-like approach to things to help figure out some pieces. So you're like, oh, okay. And I kind of saw some of it coming, when...
Could you see the baling wire and the battery and the wire?
Almost. Yeah, really.
As if,
you see, yeah, exactly. Where's the chewing gum? Yeah. No, well, you see him say or tell somebody to do something, and then I'm like, oh, she's probably going to this, or he's probably going to that, and then sure enough, that's going to be the case, and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. So it makes you wonder, would I have thought of that? It's pretty cool. So, I just really like Liam Neeson. He's one of those unassuming kind of actors who pulls off characters that you wouldn't normally associate with somebody like him. The first time I ever saw him was in the movie Darkman. So he was a scientist, so it was the geeky aspect, and then he becomes, through some sabotage, he becomes disfigured, and so he is unable to feel pain, and so he goes after the ones that caused the problem, caused his injuries. So it becomes this kind of a movie as far as going back after getting retribution or vengeance or whatever. But that was my first exposure to him. I'd never heard of him before that. And then he's just been in a number of different movies, and this one kind of has that same Taken and Taken 2. He's like, okay, back in the saddle as far as being an action guy. But from his other movies, you don't normally see him that way.
I think the first movie I recall, was a slightly cheesy Patrick Swayze movie he was in with him.
He was in a movie with Patrick Swayze?
I think so. They were brothers.
Now you're going to make me look that up, aren't you?
If I recall, but they were like, backwoods type, from the hills.
Liam Neeson. Good old IMDb.
Yeah, that's my memory at work.
Filmography. When do you think this movie was?
Maybe the late 80s.
We're going to go way back. Late 80s. Next of Kin?
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Ah.
Yeah. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, he must have been his brother or something.
Yeah.
Brian Gates and Patrick Swayze, the late Patrick Swayze. Oh, Adam Baldwin was in that too.
Yes, he was. He was like one of the
I
gangster type guys.
I likes Adam Baldwin. He's a conservative guy.
Yeah.
He's very conservative.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he even has tweeted that he used to be liberal. Now he really is probably more libertarian. But he quotes scripture. He sends scripture out there on the tweets a lot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's pretty bold.
He is.
He
is. I've gotten into tweet discussions with him on different things, and he challenges you. Mm-hmm. He really challenge you to whatever your stance is on something.
First movie I saw him in was My Bodyguard.
Oh yeah. Bill Paxton was in that movie too.
Huh. Is that Ben Stiller I see on there?
Yes.
I didn't know he was in there.
Wow. Helen Hunt. Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. So, fellow Windows Phone Nokia Lumia 900 owner.
Yes.
A lot of stuff coming down the pike here very shortly.
I have to say, the more I do, the more I move toward my gift and my passion, which is the coaching, consulting, lean processing arena. I see a tool that's going to be very valuable for me, and that's a tablet.
Yep.
And I'm excited about the Surface.
Me too. Too.
I've been using the preview version of Windows 8.
Yep, me too.
On my laptop, and I'm sold completely. As a matter of fact, when I have to go back, I find myself trying to do things that I can't do on my laptop. I come home, and I have my laptop at work. I come home to my desktop, which is running Windows 7, and I'm trying to do certain things. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, how do I do that? I have to rethink what I'm doing. So
it's like, oh, can't use the finger.
Yeah.
Here's an example of the Surface right here.
Yeah.
Coming soon. Yeah, the neat thing about it. Let's see if I can get the video.
It's got audio
here.
And everything on it.
Yeah,
too.
It does. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, vaporized magnesium body. And now, Microsoft brings you an innovation in tablet computing.
Wow.
With a kickstand. The Microsoft Surface.
Nice.
I love the touch cover keyboard. That is just so awesome. And it comes in multiple colors. I may have to get one with the same color as my phone.
There you go.
That is just
every opportunity
awesome.
I get to at least show someone the advantage of the whole cloud
meme computing.
Meme is it's exciting for me because it's to me everything. Anytime I am looking at a computer or a phone or any device, my first concern, my first thought and look is how's it going to help me? What's it going to do for me?
Absolutely.
I'm looking at that aspect. There's always the cool factor.
Oh yeah.
But and there's always I guess the vanity that comes with it as well. But those percentages are smaller than the practical application. But to me, I am on board completely with the idea of all my devices doing the same thing for me, no matter where, when, and what I'm doing.
Ubiquitous access to information. That's what I want.
And I had this desire a long time ago, but I didn't know what it was I was looking for until this has all really come into a realized reality.
Right.
And so I'm excited about where things are going.
Oh, me too.
And the Windows 8 phones is just another step.
You know, the angst that I see in the blogosphere right now about the whole live tiles concept, the start menu for Windows 8 is just remarkable, coming from some of the most sophisticated power users out there that seem to be stuck on the old desktop way of doing things. It's as if they're resistant or see themselves unable to grasp a new way to access their data. I like a pull system because that's lean, but I like it based on the way I want to set up a push system that is triggered by my pull. Mm-hmm. So in the case of the live tiles, I like the idea, whether it's on my Windows phone or on my desktop or my tablet, I like the idea that I can select tiles that are designed to let me tell it what information I want. Mm-hmm. And so it feeds me that information at the rate and availability that I want it. You know, I've seen a number of the network administrator types, and I am one, complain about, well, you know, I've got all this stuff that I run, and you know, I normally have multiple windows up, and with the stupid Windows 8 start screen, you can only have a maximum of 2 open. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait. Why do you have multiple windows open on your screen? And I know the answer to this. I'm kind of leading them to a logical conclusion here. They typically have a number of windows up on their screen because they're watching all these different status of routers and infrastructure, security systems, and all of this on the screen so that they can drill into if something triggers their attention. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why have a full application up if I can have a live tile that feeds me that information? Mm-hmm. For anybody who has really taken some time to look at, especially it's easier to actually grasp a hold of with a Windows phone because it has the longevity. Windows 8 as a developer preview, a consumer preview, and a release preview is such that there's not as much in the Metro, and I'm going to still call it that, the Metro application style where you have the live tiles, etc. Those haven't been around as long, whereas Windows Phone has been around for a while. So what you see is the potential for well-written applications or apps to have live tiles that feed you exactly the information you want without actually opening the application. You know, I get into my Windows Phone and I have certain applications that are live, and you see they're constantly moving. And each one of those can, depending on how the live tile is set up, can feed me information. It's without me actually opening the app. I've got the weather app on here that is constantly flipping. It's got 2 sides. It tells me the temperature, whether it's raining, etc., or potential for rain. And I don't need to get any more information than that unless something triggers. If I see that the Windows Phone, I'm using the Amazing Weather app, which just got an update today, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
Using the Amazing Weather app, and it feeds me all this information. And if I notice that it has an exclamation point on it, that draws my attention because it's different from the regular information that it feeds me that I can simply glance really quickly and say, oh, there's the temperature, or there's rain coming. Oh, there's an alert. I can drill into it at that point and pull more information. But it's already feeding me the information that I want the most frequently, the most at the ready. Same with my emails, my messages. I know if I have new tweets. I know if I have new mentions. I know if I have new email, new texts, whatever. I know that without opening an app. I just simply glance at my phone and I see that. Same thing with Windows 8. Now, granted, the apps for the most part that are in the Windows phones or the Windows 8 store for non-RTM are pretty mamby-pamby. There's a few that are really have taken their cue from their Windows Phone counterparts. And so those are very useful. You know, the weather apps are an example. The News 360 is an example. But as we move into the RTM, you're going to see those getting serious. You're going to see eventually the people who've been writing the old applications for the desktop will start to say, okay, how can we leverage the strength of the live tile concept to become our first view of whatever it is that the person uses that app for? And then how can we allow them to customize what draws them into the app full blown, where they bring it actually to full screen? And that's what makes sense to me. So network administrators could actually have live tiles that do the same thing that minimized or smaller windowed versions of all these apps that they had, applications they had running on their desktop. They could have the live tiles that actually feed them the information better.
I was just going to say it would be more efficient.
Absolutely.
More effective.
And use less of your resources because of the way the live tile updating works. You know, if it works well and efficiently and very fast on a Windows phone, the same thing is going to be working very efficiently on a desktop, which is why Windows 8 actually requires less resources. It doesn't require as powerful a system as Windows 7 did to get you the same performance, because you take advantage of the things that live tiles can do. So, but it's, you try to get these tech bloggers to understand where the potential is here. And it's just amazing the resistance, that they run into. They get angry because, because ScubaDog, which does a lot of, they do Windows blinds and some other customizing interfaces for Windows. They are creating a Windows 8 app that brings the little start button back. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, why would you bring back that? Your start button is the start screen now. The desktop is actually a window. It's something that runs on top of the system. It's no longer a separate application. I mean, it's not its own core system now. It is an application like anything else that happens to run applications. So you can treat it just like another window. It shows up as one of your apps running on the side of the screen and everything. So I'm going to be really excited the more that Windows pushes, because they flat out said, we're not even going to let you have a way to force Windows 8 to boot up in the desktop mode. You have to see the start menu first. I'm like, yes, I want them to force that, because that eventually that's all there will be. So I'm actually glad that they're taking a little bit of a heavy hand on this. Now this all comes out, they're doing a big thing on October 25th, and then you'll be able to start purchasing at midnight on the 25th, which of course takes you into the 26th. So they're going to have a bunch of these, obviously not in Del Rio, but they're going to have a bunch of these pop-up Microsoft stores all over the place. I mean, they've been building a lot of stores. Basically, where they see an Apple store, they've been building a Microsoft store.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And somebody on the Twit network, This Week in Tech, was saying, well, that's kind of lazy. Why don't they do their own market research? I'm like, wait a minute. And somebody brought up the point exactly the same way I was thinking about it. Well, why do extra work? If your competition is Apple, why would you not build a store in the same area that they built one? Why duplicate the effort? Work smart, not hard. If they've already done the research, And then somebody brought up, and I didn't know this. Somebody brought up that Starbucks did the exact same thing. They actually were competing. Got some camera action. Don't touch the cameras over there. We're creating like a. Looks like we're having a tremor here. But the Starbucks, and I don't remember what the coffee competitor was, but they built them on the opposite corner of their competition till, of course, Starbucks became the big thing. So why not build their stores that way? But they're doing all these pop-up Microsoft stores in malls and places like that in preparation for this big. They're going to be selling the Surface RT version, which is using the ARM processor, which is kind of like the smartphone processor, and so it's going to be competing more directly with the iPad because it will be feature-like as far as hardware capability. Much more limited as far as the only desktop apps it'll be able to run are the ones that like Office, because it'll come with Office,
right?
That were made by Microsoft for it. Whereas the Pro version that's supposed to come out in January will be the Intel-based one, be a little bit more expensive because it's got a little bit better, a little bit more upscale hardware, and it will be just like your desktop. You can run the same stuff.
Is the RT going to have the USB port, or is it only going to be?
It's going to be USB 2, whereas the Pro is going to have USB 3.
Okay.
Both will have the front and rear-facing cameras. You'll have the same touch cover and type covers will work on either device. Just the Pro version will be a little bit, just a hair thicker, because it's accommodating the Intel chip and a little bit upscale hardware. So that will be, I'll be gunning for that device, but I will be definitely ready to download Windows 8 at midnight
and
on the 25th.
If you already have the preview,
yes,
isn't there a? What's the price for that?
The preview, since it's just like the consumer preview, the release previews, all of those were free, so they could garner more input. What's working? What do we still need to fix?
But the download of the full version doesn't have.
You will literally go to the website. Matter of fact, let me see if I can go.
It's like, I don't remember how much it was.
It's $39.99 if you download it.
I was thinking $39, but I wasn't sure if that was.
If you buy it outright, although Amazon, it's already on pre-order. You can pre-order it now.
Really?
If you want to get the hard copy, the packaging. Let's see. Let me bring up the screen here. Let's see. Windows. There's the screen. Windows 8 is coming. Oh, it's a video. I don't want a video.
Yeah, I definitely will be.
Yeah. Anyway, you'll be able to go right to the website and be able to do the little update, and you'll be able to download it from there. You plug in your payment, and then you'll be able to download. It will update your machine. It'll be like a Windows update.
Okay, so is the payment going to be universal, whether you got a preview or not?
Right. All you have to have is any previous version of Windows.
The cost of the program will be the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, like my machine right here that we're doing this podcast through is Windows 7 still, 64-bit. I will simply go to the website, pay my money, and then do the update. It will then update my machine to that. You can download the way I understand. I was reading Paul Thurrott's site, who I consider a kindred spirit in the Windows world. He's realistic about it. He calls Microsoft out on their issues, which I do too. But he just sees their ecosystem as better. And so he and I definitely agree on a number of things. But he is also kind of an insider. He is given privileged information, some of which he has to hold back because of NDA. but then eventually he does is able to let information out. And if I remember correctly, he said that you would be able to download the installation files and then choose whether you're going to do a migration, in-place migration, which basically it converts, use your unused space to convert everything over to convert all your applications, everything as if it was installed on Windows 8. And so the next time you boot, it's Windows 8, or a clean slate where it literally just wipes everything out and just loads it clean. So it's a brand new installation. Or it can do where it backs up your personal files. And I did that actually with the release preview. Backs up your personal files, but then installs Windows New.
Is that what it puts in that folder?
Windows Old, yeah.
Windows Old,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can get all that. So, and I'm not sure what way. I'm a kind of a fan of clean slating because you can just get a cleaner operation with it, and it is very fast. The release preview installed on my machine over here, from beginning to end, 20 minutes, I was up and running.
Yeah.
Which was a far and a cry better over what previous installations were.
Yeah, and even just booting up my computer in the morning, it just...
Oh, yeah. It's just so fast. I just remember I got to show it off. There was a guy who was out processing from our organization on this past week. And I had my phone sitting there. And he goes, "Hey, how do you like your Lumia 900? And I'm like, ding. I said, "Oh, I love it." And he said, and he whipped out, he had a black one. He said, "I went from an iPhone 4.
You mean like this?
Yes, just like that. He said, and he still had the iPhone 4. He said, "I haven't finished converting everything over." I said, "No, if you go to the Nokia collection, it actually has a freshly updated contacts transfer app. So you can pull all your contacts from iPhone or whatever."
I need to let some people
know about that. Yeah. But and I was showing some things that he wasn't, because I've been using it now for a year. I was showing some things that he didn't know about that he could do with it, and that Nokia has really, really supported these with. He's like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that." And he said, "And I love this, and I love that." And then I happened to also have my laptop running Windows 8, and I had it sitting there. I said, "Well, now my whole world is going to be live tiles." I said, "I've been using the Windows 8, and I said, I've got it on this." He goes, "Really? How'd you get it this early?" I said, "The release preview is free." I said, "Of course, the full version's coming out here in just a week and a half." But and I kind of ran through some different things. And I said, "See, for those who have a Windows phone, there's no learning curve to the Windows 8 because it's there. You're like, oh, the same Netflix app that I have on my phone is there. It is on my iHeartRadio. I can be listening to something on here and then switch to my laptop and just continue listening to something. It's great." And so he was like, "Okay." And so he was just getting all fired up about Windows 8. And as a matter of fact, the next day, as he was literally going out to his new assignment, he just came by. He said, "I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about this." He said, I immediately went home yesterday and used that app and converted all my... He said, "Now my iPhone 4 is just sitting in a drawer." I said, "Well, congratulations." So he's really enjoying what he can do with it. But I got a kitchen pass today from my wife.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was very excited. I got a kitchen pass from my wife today to get the Lumia 920.
So you're going with the 920?
Yep, I absolutely am. I was kind of looking at the HTC 8X, which is an awesome looking machine, and they've been showing some demos of it, but I just can't get past how amazing the camera on the 920 is. It is just phenomenal. They've already been showing some video and snapshot comparisons between the iPhone 5 and the Ativ, the HTC or the Samsung Ativ. Is it Samsung? Yeah, Ativ phones, and and the what was it? The 1X. And in order was the 1X, the Ativ, the iPhone 5, and then clearly better than all of the other three was the Lumia 920, especially the low light photos, which is a big thing for me because I end up taking a lot of pictures in low light. And I see just some really good opportunities to get some like early in the morning or late in the evening photos for like scuba diving, stuff like that. When we go to Balmoral,
There you go.
some great opportunities there. And I'm like, yes. So and then just the image stabilization it has for doing video. You know, I'm Blair Witch Project was great as far as the, you know, you're feeling like you're right there. But when I'm doing stuff for me to put on YouTube or whatever, I'd like to have a more steady view. And I just think it looks great on the 920. So I just have to decide which color to get, because it comes in the stores. Evidently, you're going to be able to get the black, the white, and the red. And then if you want to order online, the cyan or the yellow, which is odd. I would have thought the yellow would be available in the store. Actually, why not all of them? So it may be one of those things that if I want to stick with the cyan, which I'm still kind of leaning toward, I'll have to order it online. If I don't go with the cyan, I'm not sure if I don't want the black or the white. I will either go with the yellow or the red. I just think those are really good looking colors. I still don't understand why they don't have purple. I would get a purple one in a heartbeat.
Does an 820 has?
Yes, it does. Yeah. I'm like, why? And evidently there is a gray one for those who want a conservative color but don't want to go with black. There is a gray one, but it's only available internationally.
That's funny.
Yeah,
a conservative
color. Yeah, gray.
The Windows 8. Now that I'm comfortable with it.
Yes.
I'm really ready for the full version, because there are some things that are very limiting right now in that preview. The more I use it, the more I do business with it.
Yeah,
I'm like I really need this to be all the way.
Right. Well, there were so many pieces that had still been in the process of being worked on to be ready for prime time since the release preview. And those who were part of TechNet or MSDN got the early RTMs on it. And so they've all been talking about, oh, wow, they fixed a lot of this stuff, or they added a lot of these features that weren't in the release preview. And, of course, I get so frustrated with seeing these websites talking about, oh, well, this app has now been released into the Windows 8 store. Of course, we go out there with our release preview, and we don't see those apps because they're only for the RTM machines. I'm like, oh,
yes,
I want that app.
Yeah.
And I can't get to it because I don't have the RTM version. So just October 25th at midnight. So I know what I'll be doing. I'll be updating a number of machines. But so I'm excited for that. And then following up on that, the 29th is when Windows Phone 8 is officially released. But evidently, the hint is you'll be able to do pre-orders around the 26th through like AT&T for Windows Phone 8 devices. But officially, I guess it's going to be released in stores. At least AT&T released November 4th.
Okay.
So that will be the big day. But there's still so many things that are being kind of kept secret. So we're wondering, are there other pieces to be added to that they haven't released or announced? That's why they're keeping certain things secret. Is there a big surprise reveal? Because the Surface caught everybody off guard.
Right.
There is a hint. There's building rumors that Microsoft's going to go ahead and build a Surface phone.
Really?
Yep. Which is kind of upsetting a few of the OEMs, but that'll be interesting if they come up with their own phone. I guess they see that they've actually dropped software from their company name. Where you see a lot of their stockholder advertisements, how they list themselves. It's no longer Microsoft. They're systems and devices. So the rumors that there is a Surface phone in the works right now are building up.
They're no longer saying we're a software
well, they've
company.
They've always been a software company that happened to also make Xbox and mice and headphones and a number of keyboards, things like that. Well, I guess they're finally saying, you know what? The future is not just that. cloud computing is the future,
Right.
and devices, appliances
Yes.
to access and manipulate are where it's at. And I totally agree.
I do too.
I think it's just a matter of time, kind of tying this into the scuba world. I think it's only a matter of time before all of this starts getting tied together, because you already have some devices being developed in the scuba diving industry that allow you to text underwater.
Wow.
I mean, underwater communication is already advanced considerably because you can get the full face masks that have the radios built in. But now they've already developed a way that, a la the Abyss, where he was texting, because obviously the vocal cords don't work when you're breathing an oxygen-rich liquid, where he was texting underwater to the people back in the underwater mining facility, whatever it was. So that wasn't a surprising technology to see become mainstream. Now, I don't think it's much time before we see all of this start to be fully accessible, where you can hit the cloud from underwater. Imagine if you can take a video or photograph underwater like we can now digitally, and then already transmit that live to a boat, to a shore, and it's posted on Facebook. Here I am underwater.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this new cave in Castle Canyon. I mean, it's just the possibilities are.
I love it.
It is. It's just way cool.
The more I think, I have to stop thinking about it sometimes, because
Just
I'm
get
like,
excited.
wow, there's some things that I really like to do, concerning, and right now I'm thinking in a
Where you can go with it.
right, like in a business systems application, and really think about where it's going. We mentioned lean earlier.
Right.
Can you imagine how these tools are really going to be beneficial in that world?
Right.
Because it's all about leaning the process, working the process, and coming back to the process and say, okay, how can we make this better?
Yes.
Well, that's where technology comes in as your helper.
Yeah.
Because there it is, helping you fix that problem that you couldn't overcome any other way.
Now, what I find somewhat frustrating, though, as we move to this cloud-centric and ubiquitous access to information kind of world, is the one-upmanship that seems to be going on. I'm a big fan of competition, but when somebody's doing it right, I think I would rather find a way to, rather than reinvent the wheel, find a way to plug into one that's already working well and add a functionality that didn't otherwise exist. And, for instance, Facebook is still the number one social medium to communicate through. And you've got Google Plus trying to nip at its heels. But, I've got a Google Plus account. I have 2 people.
Exactly.
I don't know anyone to use it. It's like certain classes of people seem to use Google Plus. But I just, aside from the fact that I hate Google, I just don't find it. I don't know anybody who's using it, and so I have it. So people could plug in, they could connect with me using it, but I don't get approached that way. I get approached through Facebook.
Right.
Okay. Now, and I bring that up to point us to the final topic for tonight, which we're actually running a little bit over, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Is on this new website that PADI has been creating called Scuba Earth.
Very cool.
And it looks kind of like Facebook.
I was going to say that looks a lot
It looks a lot like Facebook. It doesn't even have nearly as much functionality, in my opinion. And it's still in beta.
Oh,
so it's only accessible right now. At first, it was only available to dive centers, dive resorts, basically the business side for beta testing. And then they open it up to any professionals. So those of us who are certified instructors, dive masters, now can access it. But you have to, right now, you have to access it by logging into the PADI Pro website, and then you hook into it. If you try to go to www.scubaearth.com, it just gives you this is in beta page. It gives you a flash page. But as you can see, I mean, it really is nothing surprising or new. I don't even think it's as exciting as Facebook. So, but you see, you can. It has some features that obviously are unique to the dive world. You can actually start putting your logbook information here.
That's cool.
You can post on your wall, share your information. You can list your certifications. If I go to certifications, let's go to the splash page. See if it'll let me get back in. There we go. If I go to my certifications, it shows all the things I'm certified to do, all the way from my basic to the different specialties I can teach, that kind of stuff. And you can upload photos and video and all that great stuff. And you can list your gear. Well, thing is, the hook is that they're trying to say, all right, start posting dive sites, places that you dive. And it'll hook into maps, and so you can see, oh, well, I dove at Amistad, or I dive in Curacao, or I dive in Cozumel, whatever. And once this goes fully live, that you could share this with your students and other divers, so they could all say, oh, well, hey, well, where do you dive? And you could post stuff about it. Well, and I do that typically with Facebook, because I've got a page for the dive club. Matter of fact, let me bring that up. Go to Del Rio Dive Club. So we've got the dive club page, and so you can post the same kinds of things. No big new thing there. So I think it would have been smarter for, rather than try to reinvent the wheel, which is essentially what PADI has done. I understand why they're trying to do it, but why not work with Facebook to add apps to Facebook that let you do these additional things? To specialize, say, hey, guess what? If you're a professional instructor, whatever, you can add these capabilities to your Facebook page, that you can do your logbook, you can do your dive sites, you can do all this other stuff. So it's a good idea. They're trying to get professionals to leverage the social media, which if you don't take advantage of that, you're missing out. I mean, and you know this even from any kind of business. If you're not taking advantage of the social media, whether it's scuba diving or whether it's consulting, whatever it is, you're missing out on a huge market. So Scuba Earth is, they're working on it. Should be going live here fairly shortly, and I'll be connected to it. But I typically just point people to Facebook, which is much easier. Oh, and one last thing, we were kind of talking about wetsuits and that kind of thing. We're coming into the colder weather here, and I just got a phone call from somebody in Uvalde who is a certified diver, but he hasn't been diving since college.
Wow. He
actually was doing like oceanographic studies and stuff like that. And he did it down in Belize. Jealous. But his wife wants to get certified. I'm guessing that normally when I get phone calls from people wanting to get certified this late in the year, they're getting ready to go on some sort of a dive trip. But I said, of course, we're getting into colder weather, and it's not going to be nearly as comfortable to do this as the water temperatures start to drop. And I haven't been out there in a couple of weeks, so I need to get out there. If the weather's decent, either tomorrow or Monday, I may try and get out there and do something. But she's going to need a thicker wetsuit. And if it takes too long, we may have to start wearing the glove and the hood and that kind of gloves and the hood. That sounds like a movie. Gloves in the hood. But so I thought it'd be kind of useful to share with folks a pretty typical rule of thumb to go by when you're looking to choose wetsuits for the different temperatures that you're diving. Most of the summer months, or if you're going to the Caribbean, you're going to be seeing water that's 78 to 85 degrees. And so typically you can get away. I mean, I see plenty of people when it's 80 degrees in the water. I typically see people not even wearing any kind of wetsuit. But you could wear like a 1 mil shorty all the way up to a 3. I typically wear a 3 mil shorty in the warmer water. And actually going up to Balmorhea, where the water temperature is 74 to 76 year-round, I generally wore the shorty. You did too, as a matter of fact.
I did.
So it really, to me, depends on what the air temperature is like when you get out, because you are a little bit chilled at the end of that. As you start getting down to 60 to 75, which is probably where the water is at right now here at Lake Amistad, 4 mil to a 7 mil, and you probably want to start going to, as you drop below 75 degrees, you probably want to start wearing a full wetsuit. And as you get closer to 60, you may want to add layers. They have like a Farmer John type wetsuit where it's a full body, but it's sleeveless, and then you have like a jacket portion that comes over it that has long sleeves. So it gives you, especially in the core around your chest area, it gives you that double layer for warmth. If you are actually diving, wetsuit diving, between 45 and 60 degrees, I'd wear as much neoprene as you can get.
Yes.
Now, here at Lake Amistad, the water temperatures get down to 50 degrees during the winter. And I've done my share of diving out here at that point. And I've got a 7 mil full, and I wear the hood, the 7 mil gloves, the 7 mil boots, and about 35 minutes is about the max I can handle in that getup. So the only part of me that's exposed, actual skin that's exposed, is right around my mouth. So, because obviously the mask isn't covering that. And that's 50 degrees, and I'm wearing a 7 mil full. And it's the 7 mil that I have is actually called a semi-dry, like in the example here. So it has a inner layer that helps reduce the direct contact to the water. Anything as you start getting below there, you might as well start looking at getting into dry suit diving. That doesn't interest me at all. You have to get additional training to do that, because there's buoyancy control issues, because you actually put air in the dry suit. So there's additional work that's involved with that. And then, of course, really, I've known people who they really like dry suit diving. So anything below 70 degrees, they're doing dry suit. So really, that's why I've got the 0 to 70 degrees. You want to be in a dry suit, or you can use a dry suit. My own experience with somebody who was in a dry suit, there was a guy who was a truck driver from Detroit, and he would come down here with stuff for the maquilas across the border here, and he had found us through the website and said, "Hey, I'm coming down. I'm going to be here for a couple of days, and want to see if there's anybody who want to do some diving." And it just so happened we had a number of us who were ready to go out. Tom Sutherland was one of them, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
So we had 3 of us locals, and then this guy, and he was dry suit diving. So we drop off at a point just across from the Air Force Marina.
Okay.
And he's in his dry suit, and I decided, okay, I'm the most senior diver. I'm going to go ahead and dive with the new guy. Because, one of the things we talk about in the class is, taking a Discover Local diving course, or get a lead dive by somebody who's familiar with that area. So I was basically fulfilling that role. So we drop off this dive, and no real issues till we got about, I still had about 1,000 PSI left in my tank. And we were coming around this mound, and all of a sudden I looked with him, and I buddied up with him. I looked over, and he was looking at this area of rock and wasn't following me. So I backed up to catch up with him, or to return to him, and he shoved his arm into a crevice in the rock. I'm like, what in the world is he going? And it was never a good idea to stick your hand in rock. I mean, certainly if you're diving in tropical waters, because there might be some critters that will take your fingers off. Lake Amistad, not so much an issue. But so he's there with his arm stuck in this crevice. And so I swing around to where I could see what's going on, and I realize he is doing something with the valve, or the connector, where his dry suit receives air from his tank to control the buoyancy and to put air in it. He's doing something with it. And that's when I realized what was going on is he was having a free flow condition. And for those who are aware of what that means for a BC, if your power inflator malfunctions and it's continuously putting air as if you were pressing the button, even if it's slow, then you could be in a runaway ascent, uncontrolled ascent problem. Well, imagine you're wearing nothing but a big balloon, basically, and suddenly your power inflator has malfunctioned and it's letting air into your suit uncontrolled. You could find yourself polarising to the surface. So he had locked his arm into the crevice to prevent uncontrolled ascent while he worked with his gear. So then I stuck with him to hold on to him, make sure he could get stable so he could release his other arm. I dumped all my air, and so he finally said, I can't fix it, so let's go up. So we just did a controlled ascent to the surface and aborted the dive. The other two guys finished their dive. But so I say that to say to go through all that extra work for comfort of warmth, I'd rather just stick to temperatures that I'm comfortable with or endure a little bit of colder temperature if I want to get a dive in rather than wrestle with that. Now, obviously, if I was silly enough to go diving in Arctic water or up in the north, in the Great Lakes or up in the New England area or something, or over in the West Coast where the water's cooler, if I was insisting on doing that, I probably would go ahead and learn to do dry suit. But I don't. I live in Texas, thank you very much, and I typically go to the Caribbean or the Florida Keys to go diving. So no, I don't need a dry suit.
There's a reason we're here.
That's right. There's a reason why I chose to be here. I don't have to worry about that. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with folks about the whole choosing your wetsuit for diving in colder water. Last but not least, we have our tips, training, and events. Del Rio Dive Club meeting. Next one is 18 October at Rudy's Restaurant. We'd love to see you there. Even if you're not a diver, you certainly could show up, have some good food.
Absolutely.
And just chat with us.
Pulled
and maybe
pork.
if you
Pulled pork sandwich.
And if you're Scuba Bob, you bring your own Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce to put on your food.
He brings his own barbecue sauce?
He brings his own barbecue sauce.
Wow.
I tease him about that. Fiesta de Amistad is actually going on to be culminated in the big craft fair on the weekend of the 21st and the Abrazo, which is the embrace on the International Dam on the 19th. Yours truly will be singing the national anthem representing the United States.
Yay.
As I usually am every year. It's always an honor to participate in that. And then, of course, for those who are interested in going and you're a dive professional, you can go to the DEMA show, the Dive Equipment Manufacturers Association show, 14 through 17 November in Las Vegas. They go back and forth every year between Las Vegas and Orlando. And then, of course, we have our Balmoral State Park dive trips scheduled for next year. We're planning on going 17 through 19 May, 14 through 16 June, 19 through 21 July, and 16 through 18 August. So once again, we'll be celebrating our annual versity, Tara and I, at Balmoral.
Is that posted on a calendar somewhere?
It's not on a calendar yet. We've just been putting it up on here. So by all means, as a matter of fact, we probably should just go ahead and stick that on the Del Rio Dive Club Facebook page, etc. So, but definitely take advantage of those trips.
You have a calendar set up.
Yep.
For that.
I do.
Yes.
I do. So, yeah, we'd love to have y'all there. It's a lot of fun. Just go ahead and call ahead or go to their website and check out one of their rooms or one of their campsites. We always have a good time up there. It's just some fantastic time. If you've seen previous episodes, you guys have seen some of the great video that we've had from up there. We just have a blast.
Any of those dates, if you are planning on making one of those,
yeah,
you can do it far in advance.
Yes,
because those are very popular times to be there.
Yeah, it's best to do your reservations now. It doesn't cost you anything to reserve it now. Just reserve those dates, and then you can always cancel up to 24 hours
right
prior to the
and the fees are
very reasonable.
Nominal. I mean,
yeah, They're great. So that pretty much does it for this week. I want to thank you for stepping in for Scuba Bob,
Glad to
who's
be
under
here.
the weather. Hopefully he'll feel better for next week.
Well, we got no resistance on the Windows chatting we did. So.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Yeah, he always takes shots at me when I'm talking about Windows Phone 8, or he always slams Microsoft. He's definitely an eye sheep. But yeah, he's an eye sheep. So it was nice to get to have it all to ourselves.
And I was
Windows 8.
glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Absorbed a lot.
So tomorrow, once again, your annual-versity. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's just awesome. And happy birthday to me for my 50th birthday on Monday. And so that does it for this week. And we will see you next week on another episode of Two Guys Who Dive.
Good night.